Hi, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns, and you're watching my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role playing games with friends. This is part of the Intercontinental group of awesome, the Sunday group that I have the joy of playing with. We are continuing our play of Spire by Rowan Rook and Deckard, a game about revolutionaries who happen to be drow and are living in a city controlled by pretty terrible elves. And the game is even better because I'm not the GM. So our loving GM is Tyler. Tyler, let me hand the baton to you.
Thank you very much. We are indeed playing Spire, which is by Grant Howitt and Christopher Taylor. And it is, as Rich said, we are drow in a group, a cell of the Ministry, which is a revolutionary organization trying to throw off the yoke of the High Elves, the Alfir, who have conquered Spire and are treating it as their own little playground in fiefdom. The drow are kept as sort of an underclass, while the Alfir reap all the benefits and basically treat the local population pretty poorly. As a part of this, all drow must serve a durance, which is a time of service to the High Elves so that they can be citizens of their own city. Now, we have the home nation of the drow somewhere off in the distance, and but they've not made any sort of attempt to reconquer Spire. We kind of learned a little bit of at least one person's bitterness over that. And so poor Spire and its drow population have been left to their own devices. Now, last time, we were on a mission and we completed it. We went into the Infinite Library. We rescued a scholar, got her research, found out some pretty interesting things. And if you want to know more about that, you should watch the other episodes. But in retrieving that, we brought it back out. Our inksmith went through it and probably pulled out some notes, got some things written down so that knowledge wouldn't completely leave the cell. The scholar was put away into Aramit's congregation, to his church, to keep her safe and hidden. And the research was then handed over to the minister, which they report to, which is a lady known as Makareth. She appeared in her usual kind of out of the mists and met with the group, and they handed over the research and learned a little bit from her. That first off, they intended for the scholar to they weren't planning to eliminate the scholar if there was a way around it. They were happy enough for Aramitz to keep her safe and hidden, but stressed that the Alfir cannot get her back and that must be stopped no matter what the cost is, and impressed upon the cell and Gerald in particular that if the time came, she would have to be eliminated rather than lost. But also mentioned that there was a faction people amongst the ministry who thought about sending her to the home nation so she could do more research there, but that wasn't Makareth's thought herself. She thought that things that they find assets for Spire should stay within Spire, and even rather bitterly said that if the home nation had wanted to help, then there'd be an army here now, wouldn't there? Which might give a little insight to the ministry as a whole, or at least your particular minister. We had fun and excitement. You made a friend out of Creed, and you now have been elevated a little bit. You were told that the ministry appreciated your efforts, so your reputation a little higher amongst the ministry. And there's no mission on the table, though Makareth certainly implied that she'd be seeing you at some point. But for now, your daily lives, the things you do is what's on the table. Um, Folks at home, we do have safety tools that we use. We use lines and fails, and we have the X card. We've gone over those here amongst ourselves, but I highly recommend that anyone who's playing a game use safety tools. It really does make the game better. Now, let's have some folks introduce themselves and their characters, and we'll get on into play. Obviously, you already know Rich, but Rich, tell us about your character.
You bet. I think I selfishly play these games so people can say that. Tell me about your character thing, which back in earlier gamer days was like this horrible thing of let me tell you about your game. It was this thing that was a curse that, and I love that we can turn it on its head. That said, let me actually tell you about my character. I am playing Aramis. The name Aramis is stolen from the Musketeers. As Aramis, the idea of a person who is religious but also enjoys romance. Aramis is a Lajan, which means that he is a priest of the Glorious Lady, which is a drow religion that we found maybe used to be all elves religion long ago. Aramis is the head Lajan of a small chapel that is located within Saint Perdita's Circle and near the North Docks. And he's part of this team. He joined the ministry, meaning the revolutionary / terrorist organization based on your point of view, because as he has a calling to our glorious lady, he also feels a calling to the ministry. So he is perhaps #worst spy, but has just enough wisdom to where it hasn't come back to bite him yet.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And let's go to your right on our character sheet. Jen, introduce yourself and your character.
Hey there, I'm Jen. I use she, her pronouns. I am playing Fanara, who also uses she, her pronouns and is an Azurite, a gold-worshipping trader, a buyer and seller of things. And the gold worship may be a bit literal. I am interested in learning a bit more about that, expressing it. But yeah, Fanara likes the wheeling, the dealing. She's very, very focused on commerce and compel. Her endurance was in trading. So she sticks with what she knows and what she's good at. Clearly, that's why she's a minister.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much. Next up, Sabine, introduce yourself and your character.
Yeah, hi, my name is Sabine. I use any pronouns, and I'm playing Vizar, who uses mostly he, him pronouns, or maybe sometimes they, them pronouns, but mostly he, him. Vizar is an inksmith, which means that he writes stuff for gazettes and papers, and also writes schlocky dime novels with hidden messages for the ministry and hidden in them. Well, obviously, since they're hidden, yay. He can express himself better, but yeah, and Vizar has been known to do a lot of reckless stuff just to get a good story. Also, he talks a lot. Like, yeah, and he's a bit of a braggart. And he likes Gerald, which he would never admit to. Or maybe he would. Who knows? We'll see. I'm excited.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Wrapping back around, Jan, introduce yourself and your character, please.
Hi, my name is Jan. I use he, him pronouns. I will be playing Zordin. Zordin is a knight. Knights in Spire are not typical knights from other games, but they are bouncers for the bars in the North Docks district. And, you know, they do treat it like a knightly order, but really it's nothing like, like that at all. There's reasons for that, but that might come up at some point. Before he became a knight, he was a duelist for one of the Aether. Did that for a long time. Didn't like it at first, but turned out he was really good at it, so he started liking it more and more, and then eventually he lost the duel and then got kicked out of his durance right away. Well, I mean, technically his durance could have been over already, but was kicked out of the service of the Aether, and then he was destitute and on painkillers and needed a job.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And last but certainly not least, Alex, introduce yourself and your character, please.
Hi, I'm Alex. I use he, him, and I am playing Gerald, who also uses he, him, and he is the semi-official leader of this cell of ministry agents, and has spent his durance as a spy with the kind of cover of head servant for one of the elf lords. And now he's using those skills, well, against them.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I don't think I said at the top, so I will say I'm Tyler. I use he, him pronouns. And we're going to hop on into some play. Today, we're going to be doing a lot of kind of going around, seeing a bit of Spire, hanging out with each other, hanging out with NPCs, getting a little flavor. So not as mission focused this time, though I'm sure there will be plenty of opportunities for trouble to arise. Some things we might want to do. There is some stress amongst the party, I believe. So there could be some relieving of stress. Basically, what you need to do for relieving of stress is something that would help you. Say you have a blood stress. Getting bandaged up, seeing a healer, that would get rid of that. Say you have stress in silver, coming up with something where you're reestablishing, fixing your finances a little, making a good deal, or getting a donation, or borrowing money, any of these things. But doing something that sort of rectifies the thing allows you to start relieving some stress. And depending on the size of it is how much stress you'll get rid of and blah, blah, blah. But I don't think anybody here is under enormous stress. We also don't have any fallouts on the table at the moment, so I think everybody is okay on that. Why don't we lead off? Sabine, you weren't with us last time, so let me start with you by asking, what are you thinking of doing today? You've had a successful mission, and time is on your side. So what is the day in the life of Vizier starting as?
Oh, the day starting. I mean, Vizier is a late sleeper, I imagine. He doesn't like getting up, but you know, you must sometime. And then you have to write a few sentences, which is always fun, even especially if you have to work something interesting in there, like ancient legends of gods and stuff like that, disguised as the ramblings of an old crazy person. But that's not all that Vizier is trying to do here, because writing, that's work, right? That's fun, but also I think he wants to do a bit more, actually, because he has heard of these gray manor investigations, and he feels that that would be a good fit, because they do interesting stuff, and that could lead to interesting stories to write down and interesting articles, and also, I mean, could lead to contacts and stuff like that, and that's always useful. So I think he'll ask around how to find that the person who is their leader or head investigator or whatever, owner, Maxwell Rush, and yeah.
All right. Let's see. The Gray Banner investigation group has a headquarters, and I'm kind of looking over the map to see if I can find where that is. I have seen it before and probably should have looked, since I had a feeling you were doing this. But you will find out pretty easily where their headquarters are. They have a business, so they are, open to people coming in, and you know that they are detectives for hire. They work to, and it could be any sort of investigation. Things of, I've lost something, something's been stolen from me. They also will do things like a bit of protection if it's needed.
I think they're somewhere in the North Docks, if I
what the-
remember correctly.
Okay, I am just wandering around the map.
Is
and
that where
talking.
is that where the Kraken Bell is?
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
around there, yeah.
Oh, okay. That means if things go wrong, I can commiserate with Sordin.
I mostly know that it's around there because it comes up in North Docks chapter. I don't see it on the map, but
Yeah.
Ah, you're so clever.
All right, well, we'll go with that, and I will look into the Orthodox real quick. But so are you wishing to just kind of go over there by yourself, or
Sure.
are you? Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if I want to have an interview, I can't have somebody with me who's holding my hand, right? I mean,
Makes sense. Okay, so heading over, you arrive. It's a fairly nondescript, as in there's not like neon mage fire signs or anything, but there is a shingle out front to let you know, Gray Manor Investigations. And as you enter in, you are greeted by a person at a desk who looks up and, hello, can I help you?
maybe I can help you. My name's Vizar, and I heard that you were hiring people who know how to figure out how to find out things.
You're the writer.
I'm the
Right.
writer. Yeah, I write for the Gazette and other gazettes, and sometimes stuff for myself.
I think I've read some of your I hate to say penny dreadful type, but some of your fictional writing. Very good, very good.
Thank you. I mean, they are penny dreadful. They're supposed to be.
Well, we're always interested in finding someone who has various skills, and someone who is a writer could certainly be of assistance to us. Of course, that's really up to Mr. Roche. If you don't mind waiting a moment, I'll see if he's free.
I don't mind waiting. I'm
And
good at waiting.
in fact, as you had come in, you'd gone up a set of stairs to get to the second floor. Downstairs, there is a printer's office, and even from up here, you can hear the presses ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk down below you.
Music in my ears.
It'll take but a few moments before the person comes out and says,
but I have a few moments to snoop around, right?
oh, you do? Yes.
I mean, come on. I am nothing if not curious, and the whole investigations, that seems there must be a story here, right? There just has to be.
Oh, of course. Looking around the office, first off, just you have the desk there. You have a little set of chairs. There's basically a coffee table with the equivalent of some magazines and local papers on it. And, on the walls, you see maps of the various districts, just as both decoration and, to kind of show that they have their finger in every pie. But if you'd like to give it a deeper look, what are you looking into? Are you willing to go? Are you going into the desk? Or are you just kind of poking around, looking?
I mean, I want a job, right? So poking around the desk seems a bit extreme, but I mean, I can look at that map, right? The maps are, everybody knows maps. They're not secret.
All right. Well, then why don't we have you do an investigate plus this would be low society or order.
I mean, I would
or crime.
maybe or I might take academia actually, because there are historical significances to some of these spots.
Okay, I think we can work with that. Yeah.
Okay, so I start out with one die,
one die for
die.
free.
and it's a D10,
That's
and
correct.
then another for investigate, and another for academia.
That is correct.
Nice.
And keep in mind, you have your nose for trouble. I don't know if you want to use it here, but just as a reminder.
Oh yeah, let me, I should have looked at my thingies. Nose for trouble. If you can find what's out of place, you can find the story. Oh yeah. No, I just wanna look. That this is more of scoping a little, right? I'm not that suspicious right now. So I just be nosy. Yes, and that's what I call it. So I'm just a nosy sort. I can't help myself.
All right.
So there's a 9.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
So with a 9, you've got a full success. There's no stress to this, which I think you would have had a little stress to Shadow if they'd have caught you sneaking around, or not sneaking around, but investigating quite
poking
deeply. Yeah, poking about. So you were kind of focusing on that map, and as you get up close to it and are giving it a look, one of the things you notice is that there are little holes on it, probably where pins were at one point pushed through. And kind of looking at it, where the pins were, you have enough knowledge to recognize this was these were all spots where murders happened. And primarily you kind of recognize it because this is one of the more famous cases that Maxwell Roche uncovered, and really kind of started him rolling for his fame, as he found the Red Tooth murderer, particularly known because had left would always, once the person was killed, would leave a bloody rat's tooth on the body. And this map in itself, you kind of, maybe it gives you a little insight that while it's here for decoration, there's an element of this being pride. This was the thing that got Maxwell going. So even if folks don't know it, and it isn't easy to tell that's what this is, he knows it when people come in and see it.
Okay.
That his great glory is there on display.
Okay. Yeah. So I know a little how to butter him up.
And kind of, and the rest of your poking around, just kind of casually looking at the desk, you can see that there is a book there that's open with like appointments on it. It's not hidden, but looking down, seems like they're pretty busy. There are names of folks that are coming for appointments throughout most of the day. But the reception person comes out, and he looks at you. Mr. Roche will see you. We have a rather short time. He has an appointment not very long from now, but he was quite interested for the opportunity to speak with you.
Very good. And
you're led down a hallway.
I make small talk with him just to learn his name and kind of.
All right. His name is Philip.
Philip.
Okay. And he's. You planning on? Are there any more of your stories going to be coming out soon? I've read all of them so far, and well, a lot of nights I enjoy a good read before bed.
Well, I'm just currently writing one for Garage, so.
Oh, I look forward to seeing it very soon.
Yeah, well, that is a favorite of mine as well.
Would you mind terribly? And he pulls out a little pad of paper. If I got your autograph.
I mean, sure. And I'm flattered. Damn it. Yeah, and I'm give him an autograph. Sure.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh.
And he motions you to a door. It has written above it, Maxwell Roche, Chief Investigator, Gray Manor Services. And as the door opens, you see a gentleman, a drow, sitting at a desk who stands as you come in. He's a little bit hefty, it's not like he's particularly fat, but he's also not, he's not in fantastic shape. And most drow tend towards the thin, but he looks like a guy that, enjoys a bit of the good living at least. But he's got a little tiny beard, which is a bit unusual for drow. It is white, as his hair is white. His skin tends towards the kind of charcoaly gray. He's not a deep black, but he's also not the full pale. And kind of to look at him, you could see where he's got a lot of the medium look to him of someone who could probably slide in unnoticed in nearly any crowd.
Mhm.
And he, Vizar, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's my name.
It's nice to meet you. And he holds out his hand to be shaken.
Yeah, I'll shake his hand and I'll say, yeah, it's very nice. To meet you too, sir. I've been an admirer of the agency ever since I've read about the Red Teeth murders.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear. It's a damn nasty business.
Yeah, yeah. I heard people said it was not. Well, people said it couldn't be solved, but
Well, they say that about many things, but I've discovered if you're willing to dig, if you're willing to put the time in, well, anything can be solved.
yeah.
I hear you're interested in perhaps taking on employment with us.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested in. I've always been interested in stories, motivations, and things like that, and I feel that my talents might be useful to you and your agency.
It's entirely possible. Certainly, someone who has their ear to the ground, such as a reporter, has skills that can work well for Gray Manor. And we always like someone who has a good turn of phrase, someone who could help us perhaps get good coverage in the broadsheets isn't so bad either, Mr. Vizier.
Bizarre.
Sorry. I should tell you, though, we have two rules here. The first one is we are paid for every case we take. Now, I have been known to use a sliding scale. We aren't trying to take advantage of anyone. But we're not a charity. If it's important, you're going to come up with the glen to pay for it. The second rule is we are not outlaws. We follow the law. And it doesn't matter what our quarry may do, we stand by the letter of the law. We don't rough up people. We capture criminals. We don't send them flying off the edge of a building just because they're nasty little bastards. That's what the courts are for.
I have no problem with either of those. I mean, if I work for you, I would like to get paid, obviously.
Obviously.
And I'm not the type of person who runs around roughing up people.
That is nice to hear. Now I'll say, since our reputation has been getting around, we've been having a great many applicants. Young people feeling like, oh, I could be just like Roche out there solving crimes, getting my name in the broadsheets. I find that most of them are more enthusiastic than capable. I've had to, therefore, kind of put in a bit of a rule. We put people through a probationary period, a chance to work a few cases, paid, of course, but without officially becoming on the payroll. A chance for you to show yourself capable of being an asset to the service.
Well, Mr. Roche, but surely, since you have heard about me, you know that I am willing and able to do investigative work.
Of course.
I'm not just some young whippersnapper coming in from the street trying to get my name in the broadsheet. My name is on the broadsheets.
Remember rule number 2 there, Mr. Bazaar. Rules are important. I can't show favoritism, otherwise the next person who comes around will say, oh, but you know I'm capable of doing this. So I'm afraid we will have to look a little at, putting you through a few cases with other folks. And again, I assure you, you do nothing here for free. I'm not getting unpaid interns. That's not our way here. But until such time, what I would like is if you could give me a way to get in touch with you. I will send a runner to inform you when there's a case that I would like for you to work with someone on.
Fair enough. I live in the Blue House. You can reach me there. It's not a secret. I don't have anything to hide.
Very
I have
good.
an honest face, right?
You do. As far as a reporter goes, one of the most honest I've seen. I will make sure to give you, because again of your skills, the earliest opportunity to prove yourself, and I'm sure that you're going to do a magnificent job, and this probationary period will be over in no time flat.
You know what? I mean, I feel that he actually wants to give me the job, but feels a bit compelled by his own rules. So maybe, but he could do it for the story, right? I mean, I have a move that the NPC you're talking to does precisely what they want to do at that moment in time, regardless of social mores, fear, obligations, or politeness.
Ooh.
I mean. So I'll bend forward and say to him, but Mr. Roche, look, this is not just for me. This is also for you. Do you really want to miss the opportunity to have someone of my caliber, my influence, my writing skills, working for you and putting out the world that I, Vizar, am part of your organization? Do you really want to miss out on that?
You could kind of see him calculating. There's a bit of a struggle in his face as he goes, well, I'll admit, Mr. Vizar.
Do I have to roll occult?
Do you?
This? I think I do. I mean, it says occult here. I don't know if I have to roll it. No, there is a investigate plus occult. Maybe it's just because it is magic. Actually, what I'm doing here. It's not just.
Yeah. I don't think you have to do a roll. It would have you. It'd say if you had to do a roll.
Yeah, I think that these things are tagged as divine or occult or etc.
Okay.
To flag for players and GMs what does and doesn't work if, for instance, in the sanctum you can't use divine hoodly.
Yeah.
So again, you see that kind of struggle across his face, and he drops his voice a little. Well, this would be very unusual, Mr. Bazaar, but I'll admit, I like the cut of your jib.
You are an unusual man, Mr. Roche. Your success speaks to that.
Well, all right. He reaches into his desk, pulls a drawer up and reaches into his desk and pulls out a card. Just between you and I, why don't I go ahead and give you this here? And you see that you have a card there that states you are a member of the Gray Manor services and all, the official I am a Gray Manor investigator. And he says, this, of course, has certain cachet in the Spire. Most people are willing to speak with a Gray Manor investigator because they know of our integrity. It's also good for 10% off on North Docks beer.
Well, that was not the reason I wanted to be a member of your organization, but it sure is a nice perk, sir.
And
you won't regret this.
I'm sure I won't. Well, then let's say tomorrow you could come in, check and see if we have something that we could use you on. But as a little favor to me, I wouldn't mind. And he pulls out a little folder, just a few pages. We just recently discovered a merchant overcharging for black fungal pudding.
Scoundrel.
Indeed. Using cut rate mushrooms and then overcharging. Wouldn't mind a little puff piece about that in the old broadsheets.
Yeah, I see this is working out already for both of us.
Yes, indeed. And of course, now you're on the payroll. We pay every week, bonuses for cases covered, but there is a constant salary for being on call.
Nice.
Philip will be able to take your information on the way out. I hate to rush, but I have an interview with a client.
Totally understandable. Thank you, sir. Shake his hand. Saunter out.
As you head out.
Stuff he's given me.
As you head out, Philip looks up. Did it go well?
Oh, it went well, yes.
If you would, and he pulls out a book, just please put in your address, your name, contact, and next of kin or person who would receive benefits in the event of, well, something unfortunate.
Sure.
And you see that there is a young lady drow who looks kind of stricken and unhappy in one of the chairs. He says, ma'am, Mr. Roche will see you now. And she goes with Philip to the back.
Interesting. But yeah, okay. I will now go to the North Docks to look up sorting and see if that 10% discount is applicable at the Kraken Bell.
Excellent. So we're going to cut over. Let's see. I think sounds like we're going to have Bazaar get over there to your bar, Zordon. So maybe we'll have the two of you meet up. But if you don't mind, I'll have that happen and find out stuff before that happens from you in a moment. But why don't we turn over to you, Aramitz? And what is the day in the life here for you?
Before we go into that, I just wanted to let you know I have chosen my low advance.
Woohoo!
The Rite of the Silver Sanctuary.
Ooh, that sounds
which
impressive.
Allows me to mark a room as sacred to the goddess, barring the entry of trespassers. Might pay off since I'm hiding fugitives. So thought that was not a worst idea. Yeah. Day in the life for Aramitz. We talked about he has his chapel. That's, of course, his calling and his primary work. I think that it's a small enough chapel that he always has work he can be doing, but that when it isn't the day of a service, there are probably a couple of services per week, then everything else is loose so that he could work with the ministry. So a day in the life is dependent on, is it a service day or is it not a service day? And not a service day is what I think we'll pick up with. Aramitz does spend those not a service days where he will go down to areas near the Blue Docks where folks are looking for day labor or night labor, as the case may be. He'll head to the blue market, look for people who may be begging for scraps. He's basically trying to minister to the downtrodden, not minister as in preach the word, but minister as in organize. You want to have extra food, then if is there a thing that he can do to help these people make ends meet. He has people that he's visited that are similar to Zordon, that he has kind of helped them get off of certain addictions, and he checks in with them. So he's got a little bit of a circuit that he works.
I think one of the things you will encounter as you're moving through is you will see someone kind of in the distance, and they're kind of have a bit of the shakes. And as they, you see them again at the distance, and they kind of move around a corner. And one of your parishioners, someone who knows you, will look at you and say, Father, these drugs that are coming into the neighborhood, some of them are just terrible. That poor soul talking to himself. And it's really, it's despairing to see that destroying our neighborhood.
I agree that the drugs that people use can cause more ills than those that they alleviate for a time. But always keep in mind, it is not the drugs that are the ill. They are merely something that can distract you. It's because our people, we are forced into this life, and with little respite, there are some who turn to something immediate that has unforeseen consequences.
Of course, you're right,
even
Father.
If they understand the consequences, they feel that it is worth it for a few moments of pleasure. So I share your concern, and I will go and speak with this person and see if there is a way that I can help them.
That would be kind, and of course you're right, Father. But this, I think they call it dreck. That it's just been around so much. And you remember that was the same thing the man you met in the alley behind the metaphor. It just seems like it's everywhere.
Are you all right?
Well, Father, since you've come to the neighborhood, it is better. You've been so kind, and your food drives have really helped. There was a time when I worried about if either one of my kids were getting enough, and you just convince everyone to share, when before we all just took care of ourselves. But it's clear the grace of the mother is in you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you have not had to make such a terrible choice about feeding your children, and I'll do everything I can to help remind everyone,
well,
we're in this together.
She reaches inside of her cloak and says, I have this, and she hands you a loaf of a bread, and she says, it's a bit extra that I can give.
And there's a moment where you can see there, he considers refusing it, but he knows he would just be disrespecting her and her offering. So he bends forward, takes the bread in his hand. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Father.
I'm going to go speak with this young man, see what I can find, see if I can help him.
Bless you. And she moves away, and you see that in tow she has two young drow with her, probably 6 or 7, well before time for them to be sent to their durance. And they do look healthy and happy, which you can remember when you first came to the neighborhood, they were way too thin and had that look of almost desperation. But you have made a difference since you've been here. You could kind of, take a little pride knowing that just the influence has meant the neighborhood, like now the neighborhood, there are people who watch the other children. So that lets this woman go out and do more work so she can afford more. That sort of community that you've helped inspire has had this whole trickle down effect. And we all know that trickle down is the best way. But you go to pursue that man?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Heading down the alley where he had turned, you see him kind of huddled up against the back against the wall. And you could see he's kind of shaking a bit and mumbling.
Oh, brother. Good morning.
Hello, Father.
You recognized me. Do I know this person's name?
You don't know his name, but you've seen him around. He's a local, and you had never seen him in this kind of shape before. He was just a local person who worked and did, odd jobs, but was, you've never seen him all fucked up like this.
You may call me Aramitz. I'm sorry. What is this you are called, my friend?
Clive.
Clive. Are you all right, Clive?
Not really, Aramitz.
What has happened? How can I help you?
I could just use a few gland. I've been sick. I could use a little medicine.
What ails you?
Yeah, I have pains.
I've seen you performing odd jobs. Did you injure yourself on the job?
Not exactly. Yeah, it's just it aches. Yeah, that's what it is. Aches. The medicine takes away the aches.
What kind of medicine have you been taking, Clive?
It's it's called Drek.
I've heard of Drek.
It takes away all your pains. Yeah. It makes you feel great. You can go right back to work. Really put in a day.
When was the last time that you worked, Clive?
I think now you're gonna have to try and get that out of him. You could see him
There.
hesitate, and he's like, yeah. So I think you could do this with. It's probably like a compel.
Yep, I definitely wish I had compel. Cool. So I don't have compel. Are we in dealing with low society?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Cool.
And I'm trying to see, just checking to your advances for me personally. I don't know if any of them are quite hitting on this.
No, I don't think so either.
So you're getting one for free, one for low society.
Yep.
This is pretty low stakes. I think that all we'll have for stress here is like 1 to reputation, should there be the problem.
Compelling Clive, 2d10. Here we go. Oof. My best result is not good enough. It is a failure, a 5.
He's like, well, I've been putting in my days, Aramitz. I mean, I'm not a lazy man. I've never been a lazy man. I work hard, and you can see he's kind of getting his back up. Look, I don't like asking for charity. I'm sorry I bothered you. He's kind of struggling to get up.
Clive. And do I take how much stress do I take to come to
One.
reputation? One to
One.
reputation?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any Drek, nor do I have any Glen, but I take out the loaf and I offer to like tear it in half. We can share some bread here.
He's stood up. Well, I haven't had any lunch.
Well, this
Thank
will
you.
help. Of course. I have a question, Clive. Where do you get this Drek? I've noticed it all around. There must be some new dealers.
He kind of takes the bread as you offer it to him, and he's pulled a piece off of it, and kind of you get the impression he hasn't eaten lately.
Yeah, I'll forget that we're sharing it half for half and end up kind of tearing off pieces of the bread as we're talking, to the point where he may end up eating the whole loaf. I don't know.
Okay. And he says, well, there are quite a few folks who've been providing it, serve. It's a service to help people, I'm sure, but the person that kind of supplies the guys on the street, I've heard him called Dark in the Eye. That's worth sticking it on NPCs, I think. So I will put that name in.
All right.
There we go.
Clive, I feel as if I may have come across a little differently than I'd hoped. I want you to know that our Limier, our glorious lady, does not judge you. We know that life is hard, and having a few moments of pleasure is a welcome blessing from time to time. I simply worry about you. I remember how busy you used to be, and now I see you from time to time in pain.
He kind of, you could see there's a bit of shame in his face that maybe overcomes that hunger for the drug for just a moment. As he says, I wish I'd never tried it in the first place.
Its claws can cut deep, can they not?
Yeah.
My doors are open. If you need a place, if you need more bread for the soul.
Thank you, Aramis.
Hand off the rest of the bread, and
as you hand it to him, he takes it and thank you. Aramis, you don't know how good it feels, though. You just don't know.
I'm sure that it does. But moments for hours is not a trade I'm ready to make yet. If there's anything else you need, my friend, let me know.
Thank you. And he kind of puts the remainder of the bread inside of his cloak and begins moving off down the alley. And you could tell that probably having something in his stomach has helped, because the shakes are a little less. He's walking a little straighter. But something in your heart of hearts says that, I mean, it didn't like the claws are out.
No. I know. I don't even think I made a dent. I'm not going to fool myself.
However, I do think you helped someone who couldn't help themselves in this moment. So you may take a refresh.
Yay.
So you may choose one of the things you have stress in. I think you only have one in any category. Is that right?
I right now have a stress in blood and armor and a stress that I just took in reputation. I think
Okay.
blood and armor seems appropriate to like take a ding on reputation and lose it by that same conversation feels
A little, yeah. All right. Does that feel like a good scene for us to start on? Okay, cool.
Yeah. His unless he, well, you know what? Actually, just so we know intent, not that it needs to continue the scene. I think Aramis would go to either look for Vizar or Finara.
Okay.
To find out more about this dark in the eye.
Excellent. So I think we're gonna slide over to you, Gerald, because I think that Aramis, you're probably gonna find Finara easiest. So we'll get that chance for a crossover. So then I'll come to you, Finara, to do things before that happens, but we'll then synergize into. So, Gerald, what is the day in the life for you starting off with?
I think I would be moving into some of the households in the early bustle of the day. Either stealing a mask or having maybe in like a bladder skin, waterproof bag, having a mask outside one of the kind of manors or homes of a elf lord. So I could slip in amongst the staff.
Is this a particular elf lord or?
No, I think I would be doing the rounds. At least trying to do this once a day if I don't have other plans. I think at one point, if I have a move for it, but
okay.
What's I don't know if it's got anything to roll or not.
Which one we looking at?
It is one of the staff.
Oh.
Once per session, I can blend seamlessly into the household staff or employees of an organization or group and keep my ears to the ground. The GM with one question about the organization that they must answer honestly.
Oh, that's neat. All right.
For every hour I spend performing busy work.
Right.
I get it.
So you slide into this household.
Yeah.
And you say you didn't target anyone in particular.
I think if I would.
Is there even if it's not a particular lord that you are lord or lady, noble that you're trying, is there some sort of information type that you're looking for?
I think ministry, rumors about ministry, information about stuff that we've the scholar, if there's any. So yeah, somewhere in there, some elf lord connected to academia or order.
Okay, that sounds cool. Now you did, and this may not be, I'm just putting it out there as information. You do know that, what was their name? The person who in particular had made Creed, who had summoned Creed, is a person that might be interesting to look into. Or you could find out in the person that is in charge of like the library itself. You could be in that sort of area.
I think that person who made Creed, that seems.
All right.
Yeah.
And that person was Pascal Malaise.
Are they Elfir or?
It is an Elfir scholar that is at least puts out the sort of facade of being, one of the people known as, the favorite teacher at school. We could go and have a beer and talk a little about magic theory. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm a cool guy sort of feel.
A guitar in the corner, just in case. Yeah.
All right. So working into his household, he does, like all Elfir, have a sizable staff, but it's nothing compared to your old masters. He does keep, to that, the bare minimum. There's only a dozen or so people that are here taking care of all of my things. See, I'm a man of the people.
Yeah, I think I would I'd get a feel for the flow of the household first. I mean, if I've got a mask hidden away, I must have been here before,
Mm-hmm.
even if it was just momentarily.
You've, what you know of this is, despite what he claims, he is a very arrogant man. He is not notably, at least for Alfir, cruel, but you've known his staff that, he's quick to fire someone if he thinks that they've, impinged upon his reputation, or if they don't give that proper deference. That's the sort of thing he'll do. And so the whole staff have this almost regimented way that they'll always address him. When he comes in, there's always the slippers sitting right here. There's always this book ready, these sorts of things. And his anger is something that they've learned through ritual things to avoid.
Yeah. I think I would, I would at first be just mingling in with the staff, trying and just get any rumors that I can them.
Okay. So busy doing various things there. You have your chance.
Yeah. I think I would just why not behind, in the servants' quarters, behind, eating rooms, kitchens. He never changes, doesn't he?
Oh, no, sir. Set as a clock he is. Everything. We expect him back about 4. Slippers will be sitting there, already warmed by the fire. We'll have a bit of the port ready for him to drink. He's going to want to tell a story. We'll listen to the story. Everybody smiles. Oh, we love it so, sir. Oh, so brilliant, sir.
And that business last week, he's calmed down since.
Okay, so you're pulling your question.
Yeah.
And the lady there that speaks, oh, well, were you not here to Bluey's?
I heard, but
Bluey's stack is dead, all upset. I'm not sure why, but it's claimed, he said, that someone messing with things they shouldn't have. That's what he said, sir. And that his property had been taken from him.
Has he sent word to constables or?
I don't think it was that sort of property. Had the way about him, he meant a person. You know how they are. We aren't anything but property.
Hmm.
He kept saying something about someone named Creed. I don't know him. Never worked here in the house.
I can't place that name either.
Must be someone from the school.
A new hire, maybe, or?
Not here, sir.
Well, busy day.
Yes, of course. You
Bring
know,
up things to do.
of course, you know, he did have that visitor right after.
Oh yes. But I kind of hit my fingers trying to place a name.
Well, yeah, that headmaster of the school
Yes.
talking about a
Oh.
missing scholar, saying that she had information. I mean, not that I eavesdrop, never, not me. But I'll happen to overhear.
They practically bellow their conversations. Like we're just part of the furniture.
Said they were going to find her, though. Said there wasn't nowhere in Spire she could hide.
I hope it all gets solved amicably. And
I feel sorry for her, sir. Running off like that with, if she ran off with this Creed, oof. Oh, the master will be very upset.
we just keep our jobs. None of our business.
Very true, sir. Do you hang about longer? Got something else you want to figure out?
I think I take one moment to be like sitting in the kitchen, like, somebody bring me some of those plasters. Like been on my feet all day, and I'm not from the feet. And then as soon as like the like little first aid kits of supplies is put in front of me, I just like, no one's looking. I just like pop it and just leave the building. Yeah.
Off you go.
Yeah. I've got some bruises I need to take care of, and now I have some supplies.
Very nice. And let me check. Okay, I don't think we're hitting your refresh there, but if you would like to take the time now that you've got the supplies to go back and tend your wounds, I think that it's fair to say you could get rid of that blood.
Yeah, I think I
stress.
would like just between the buildings in the shadows, just do it.
Okay, so go ahead, you can remove that stress. And anything else you're doing while you're up here in the up at the top?
I think my next plan is to go down, so I have a tree to see. But maybe that's later.
Yeah, we'll come to that then. But certainly between home and this place is where the gardens are. And I think let's see, pull up here on the map. That's in I'll share screen for folks at home. I always like doing a little letting folks at home see our map because it's super cool. As we see here is the most of the farm area of for Spire, at least one of the more well-known. Pleasantly are filled with pleasant things like the leech canal and the grub works, the algae farms there where a great deal of the food of Spire comes from. And we have the hanging gardens. And I'm going to give just a quick thing about the hanging gardens so we know what they are. And then we're going to shift over. The hanging gardens are where people are executed. It is also where, I'm going to stop sharing. It is also where people who pass away for various reasons and are in debt, their bodies can be taken here. And they're hung in this orchard because there's a certain set of fungus that grows on these corpses, which is highly prized by those up higher in the spire as food. There's also these trees that get nourishment from the, as the bodies are used as fertilizer. And the apples that come from those trees are extremely highly priced, very, very expensive. There is also a drug that can be made, or an alcohol type that is made from those apples. So that's what the hanging gardens there are. So let's shift over. I'm going to shift over to you, Jan, real quick and find out where Zordon is. And then I'm going to switch over to you, Fanara, and we'll have what you're doing and meet you up with Aramitz, and then we'll come back to Zordon and Vizar. Sound good? Okay. So, Zordon, day in the life, mission accomplished. What are you up to today?
I'm waking up in my room at the Kraken Bell.
Is there a bit of a hangover, or do you not have to suffer from those?
There is a bit of a hangover, and when I stumble downstairs, it'll just be like breakfast.
You, as you come in, your fellow order mates sort of, Zordon, and you are given your food. You don't have to worry about
and drink.
Yeah, and drink. You don't have to really worry as a member of the order here about paying per se. And so it's set down in front of you, and you can see that the order is kind of discussing a few things. There's a group of them that are talking about a group of merchants who've come in on the river, and they're planning to go down to the docks to make sure they pay their taxes like they need to. There's another little group off to the side who are bitching about how the weasels had come in and snatched a barrel of really first-rate ale, and that they were planning on getting together and maybe going down and making a point to them that that your ale supplies aren't to be fucked with. You can hear them kind of grousing a bit about, what's it going to take? How many guys will they have? Of course, obviously, any one of us could take 3 weasels, but that sort of thing.
I think Zordon at some point goes like, guys, too many words, less words. I already had too many encounters with words yesterday. The words make my head hurt, okay?
When I claps you on the shoulder there. Oh, Sword, got a little pounding in the head, buddy.
Yeah, by words.
Sorry. Sword needs the quiet. But they seem to respect you enough that they give you some distance to let you finish your breakfast. Anything else that what would you be doing after you eat?
Well, considering that Zordon still has quite a bit of a headache from the pounding from the words, I think he'll actually be here for the rest of the morning, just like drinking.
All right, that makes sense. And let's see. Do we feel like you're like really tying one on here to kind of dull the pain?
Yes.
I think that sounds like pretty reckless excess. I mean, a guy who is already kind of beat up, had passed out just the day before with a possible concussion, getting pretty ripped is reckless. So I think we can have you do a refresh there. Let's see. Your base refresh move. Let me again, sorry about this, but I have to look up a rule. Because our other one we didn't have to worry as much about rolling a die because poor Rich only had one.
Two.
You do.
There's a hover over by refresh that says remove D3, D6, or D8 stress depending on how fully and how dramatically you fulfill the
Right.
requirements of your refresh.
All right. So I think you could pull on a pretty good drunk, but still not be like outside of reason intoxicated and get that D3.
Well, I mean, I think that's fair. Like, I'll probably be a little bit drunk, quite or reasonably drunk, but by noon.
Yeah. Nothing like morning drinking.
So it's a D3 then.
He's on a schedule.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, that's a 6, so 3. So that means I just refresh all of it.
Yep.
Awesome.
And so throughout the morning, you order more drink and eat less food, and the pain starts to dull. The crowd around you, their voices irritate you less.
Yeah, hair of the dog.
That's it, exactly. And maybe even you get a little more jovial and kind of listening to them and they're talking, you join in a
Yeah,
little.
and then at some point, Soren will probably be like, it was actually words though,
Yeah, words.
Yeah, but in it was like words, but it was a thing. What do they call it? Where you make something out of words. Not a sentence. No.
You caught me before I said it.
No, not a golem. Something like that though.
You mean magic?
Yeah.
You encountered magic words?
Yeah.
You see one of them make a sign, warding off evil. I don't trust words even when they're normal, much less when they're magic.
I'm not sure. Look, don't ever go to a library. It's a bad idea.
What the hell would I go to a library for?
Well, I mean, I can't go into that, but bad idea.
I had a cousin once went to a library, came out with a whole bunch of fancy thinking. Boy, first time he got punched in the nose, that fancy thinking didn't help him one bit.
Exactly. And then if there's also, I mean, there is one thing about libraries. Did you know that they have weapons there? I didn't know that.
Whole bunch of them look around at each other. In a library?
I know.
And you see a couple of them kind of perk up. Libraries aren't really well defended, are they?
They are, sadly.
Oh.
With words. And magic.
Oh. Well, I'll pick a fight with a word, but I ain't picking a fight with magic unless I gotta.
Well, choose to not do it anymore either, but... Anyway. The words are starting to get more quiet.
They seem interested kind of in the story you've told, and one of them will come over and put a little shot glass in front of you and You
Oh,
know,
appreciate
good
it.
story. And it's a thick, hot liquor that you shoot back, and the words, you practically can't hear them anymore.
Exactly.
So we're going to have Vizar come in, but I think it's probably the right time for us to take our first break here. We've been going a little bit, so why don't we? So back again, Sorden, you've had enough drinks that the words are bothering you less, and your pain has receded. When you hear one of your friends nearby go, "Oh, speaking of words, here's somebody with a bunch of them." And Vizar, as you walk in, you've been here before, but I'm wondering, how do the Knights of the Kraken Bell treat you? What is the look that you get when you come in here?
I mean, I've come here quite a bit, and I can basically mostly hold my liquor, so I guess it's more like, yeah, that dude writes stuff, but he can tell a good story. So it's not totally respectful, but they're also not bullying me or anything.
Gotcha. Kind of a bit of a friendly acceptance of somebody that comes in. They allow themselves to laugh and talk around you, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I'm not too worried about them making fun of me, basically.
They probably heard about the antics we got up to on a.
Yeah, they probably did. I mean,
So a bit of grudging friendliness there.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. So Sorden, as you hear that, you look up and you see Vizar coming in. Do you wave them over?
yeah.
Rivers.
Sorden, hi.
Morning.
Hey, I'm wondering, I have this. Is this good here? I've been told that there's 10% of the beer. So, is that true?
Wow.
Ha!
As you hold it up, I think that from the bar, you'll see the bartender, who misses almost nothing, kind of give one of these, another person with a discount look. And we're going to switch scene over to Banara. What are you up to here on a day in the life?
Well, I think that I, by nature, need to return to at least a certain amount of business as usual.
Mhm.
I feel like Fanara's kind of an opportunistic busybody. You know, she's a trader, but I don't see her as having a particular specialty. I imagine that she owns a stake in a handful of productive ventures, you know, so she might have a 5% ownership stake in a local factory making this or that. You know, she has a handful of steadier sources of income.
Do you have a stall or a storefront?
I know who to ask this question to.
Up to the fates.
Yes, I do. Which probably means that I've got at least something tying it together. Otherwise, just from a seller's perspective, your customers don't know what the fuck to come to you for.
And
if
I'm
you don't
guessing it's in the blue market area, since that's the heavy, you know, that's the big trade area on y'all's level.
Yeah.
And it is also a major stronghold of the Azerites.
So it's probably imports.
Okay, that's nice. Do you play upon some of your old connections to do that, or is it purely kind of a nose for when traders come in, you're able to pick out good things?
I do play out some old world connections to get ahead of things like that. I also imagine that Fanara actually spends a lot of her time not necessarily working her stall, although of course she does a bit of that too, but she spends a lot of her time sifting through news and learning about other ventures. If there's some new business or trend,
Mm.
she slidles her way into getting a grand tour of that.
That's neat. And I'm guessing you have like employees who keep up the stall or on a more regular basis.
Yeah, I have some regular employees. Sometimes I employ day laborers, especially if I think that I'm going to make some big trades.
Okay.
I imagine Fanara like rents a portion of a warehouse when she's going to be moving a large stock in something. So if a big delivery needs to go in, that's usually where it goes.
Cool. Okay. And so today, well, where do we find you?
Today, I think that we find Fanara doing what she discussed with that human trader from yesterday.
Ooh.
Fiction-wise, I can't remember that human trader's name.
Ooh, he had a German name.
It was short, as I recall.
Yeah, like Klaus or...
Yeah, it wasn't Klaus, but it was palpably similar.
We'll go with him. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, just Sabine had thrown out a couple suggestions.
Kurt's not bad at all.
Kurt, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So Kurt and his blood oranges. I'm actually like in the prep area of a pretty fancy restaurant, like chatting with the chef.
Oh, okay.
And I've got a crate of blood oranges beside me. And I'm, trying my hand at knife skills, and I'm sure it's amusing for anyone who has knife skills.
He's smiling, watching you. I got to tell you, these are fresh, and we don't usually get fresh fruits around here.
Well, if you're interested, name your price and number of crates. What were you thinking?
I'm not unbelievably wealthy, but I could see myself going for 4 drena a crate. I don't want to try and keep you from getting skin in the game. If you remember, you did pay 2 per.
That's not bad. Tell you what, I'll accept this price, but I want you to sweeten the deal for me a little bit. How many crates were you interested in purchasing?
I could probably do 3 or 4.
All right. And that would leave me with how many crates?
We could say you have as many as you would want to deal with. I think that you were you'd gotten like 1 or 2 from him, but he'd said, if you get a deal, I'm happy to supply for your dealing.
Mm-hmm. All right. In that case, all right. I'll tell you what. If you write out a recipe for me that someone can use with these, that I have permission to copy and publish.
I could do that. A good chef tries to keep his best recipes close to chefs, but...
Well, don't give me your best. Give me what you think anyone could do.
I could do that, and heck, it isn't like I see many of these anyway. They're rare enough that even if I put a recipe out there, it isn't like people are going to be able to copy it all the time. So, sure thing. He goes over to a little file thing and pulls out something and quickly does a copy over to you as you find he's got a tartlet sort of recipe for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're very popular. Everybody likes a pie.
Excellent. Well, I shake his hand, say I'll have that delivery to you with the billing. About what time would you prefer?
Anytime before the dinner rush. As long as it's here by 3 or 4, I should be fine.
All right, then I'll get a move on with that.
I think it's fair to say that you are carrying out a deal that benefits you more than it does the other party. You got a good deal off this one. So I think that's a refresh. Seems like probably a D3 refresh here. You didn't like screwing or anything.
Yeah.
Which you could use pretty much on any of the things. Well, I don't know if this would be as helpful for Shadow, but you could tell me how it is.
I mean, here I am hustling, making these deals. How could I possibly have been that involved yesterday in blob de bloob de blurb?
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense to me.
Cool. Do I have to focus my refresh healing anywhere? Or can I spread it around?
You can roll it first. You can't spread it right. You can roll it first, and if you've got a 1 and you decided to clear 1 complete, you could choose where it's going to go.
Gotcha.
But if you got a 3, you couldn't spend your excess elsewhere.
I'll cover my whole shadow damage with that. Call it a day.
Cool. And of course, there are things you could do without just that refresh to do activities to get rid of your, like we saw Gerald go and get some first aid or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I'm going to make sure that this delivery is handled with speed.
Okay. And as you're kind of moving around through and, walking through the stalls and other people working, you hear a group next to a stall, and you just kind of are passing. So you hear this and these people talking, and one of them is like, yes, I heard. It was, well, it's disturbing to even imagine. The other person says, I hear it's the Swan. And they, oh, yes, I think so too. Gruesome, absolutely gruesome. What do you think they're doing with, I mean, why would you take someone's organs? Do you stop and listen in more or go in and
Yeah, no, I gestured at Golaset with the hand signal that we both use to mean fade into the background, please.
It is interesting to watch this big guy who's there making a presence of protecting you kind of move to a stall and just lean in a way that suddenly he's just a guy buying stuff.
Yep. And then I'll kind of sidle over and just continue quietly eavesdropping.
Well, it had to be him. The feather. It's his calling card. Well, but this will be at least 4. 4 here. They say there's even more up in Haven. Well, if something's happening in Haven and he's getting away with it, that's Haven. The police really care about them. It makes me wonder. I don't go out at night anymore, and certainly don't go down back alleys. Fortunately, I don't have to live in a neighborhood like this. Living a little higher has its benefits. Apparently not in Haven. And you see the person that he's speaking to kind of blanch a little at that. Well, my neighborhood's safe.
That must be good for you.
Does this person know you? Are you the sort of person that is familiar enough that they would recognize you, you think?
It depends on whether or not this person simply does well for themselves, or does interesting things.
Mm.
If they do interesting things, I probably know them, and vice versa. If they just do well for themselves, I probably don't.
This person is, I don't know if you ever watched Keeping Up Appearances, but this is Hyacinth Bucket. This is a person who, has a bit of money, but doesn't have nearly the sort of money they're putting on. They're putting on their heirs. But would come by and buy things from the home nation because, of course, that's the appropriate thing. I'm a drow who would have the lovely things of home.
Mm-hmm.
So but that's the sort of person they are. She looks at you. Oh, well, yes, I suppose that I am lucky. A good neighborhood, taking care of one's neighbors, and I always look out for my neighbors, so they look out for me.
That's the way it should be. Then I, pat her on the shoulder. Not a feather, though. That seems like quite a statement.
She kind of lowers her voice conspiratorially. Well, it's the calling card of the swan, a white feather. Every one of the murders seems to have one.
Where did you hear all this?
Oh, it's all the buzz up, Spire. Haven is quite upset about it. The police, though, poor things. They're totally stymied. And again, so gruesome. Hearts and spleens and other things taken from these bodies. And some of these people are even of quality.
What sort of quality?
Well, decent. She kind of looks around as though down here wouldn't have these sorts of people. Decent people with fine, upstanding jobs, and some who even work for the elf here.
Oh my. Well, it almost makes one want to go out and hire a bodyguard.
Well, she gives you a look, and well, if one can afford it, one should. If someone has to go into unseemly neighborhoods at unseemly hours, that's why I try to get all of my shopping done early. Nothing bad happens in the morning.
Oh, except waking up, I suppose. Well, thank you for this interesting tidbit, milady. And I'll wait for her name.
I'll stick to being on nose. Hyacinth. Bouquet.
I see. Well, I'm a local trader, Fenara. My stall is yonder.
Oh, that's your stall. You have the most lovely little things. When I put on some of my candlelit dinners, I often find little delicacies from your stall, straight from the homeland. Oh, you're such a wonder. I do love tradesmen.
Oh, well, we are offering a new special on blood oranges today.
Ooh, perhaps I'll drop by. I'm sure my husband would just love a nice bit of blood orange for his Ricky.
We're including a free recipe for a delicious tartlet.
I will definitely come by.
Oh, please do. Good day, everyone. I nod to the gossipers.
They nod, and they kind of behind her back been rolling their eyes at her. But as she turns back, they plaster on smiles again as she begins discussing how she uses her the most exquisite china. I believe that you can only truly taste food properly when it's a well-glazed china.
I escape.
And where do you head?
Let's see. I go to a hattery.
A hattery indeed. As you come up to this hattery, you see a smiling gentleman wearing a lovely fedora, and there are a number of hats there. And as he sees you coming, he smiles broadly. He will recognize you. Ah, fedora, have you come to partake of my fine haberdashery?
I certainly would like to browse. May I?
Oh, please feel free. And of course, for a fellow Esserite, there is always a 5% discount.
Oh, excellent. Tell me, how fares your supplies of late?
Well, there's always a shortage of felt, and we usually get our hats made from Spire. There are, of course, lovely young ladies and gentlemen who work in the felt factories and produce in the millineries for us. Well, as you know, the chemical process for felt has some byproducts. And we've heard that there's quite a problem with madness going on with some of our suppliers.
Oh dear. And I've, got a hat off of a stand, and I'm looking it over back and forth. What's the current style for hats? It sounds like felted, shaped.
Felted, shaped, and broad brimmed. There's a lot of the kind of big around build. He, like I say, is doing a fedora, but you will see there's also like bowlers, which
simple.
are traditional. That's the hat of the working man, is this kind of bowler hat.
Mm-hmm.
But there are more fancy sorts of hats, both for men and women, and are priced accordingly. And they'll have things like, there's some with feathers, there's some that are with ribbons, and then there is a pretty high call for spider silked decorations on hats, which is a very traditional drow style.
Oh, for certain. And of course, you've got to make it right so that it lasts.
Is there anything you're particularly looking for?
Honestly, I'm trying to approach something from a wrong angle to see if anything right happens, like I do sometimes. Do you have any sources for swan feathers in the city?
Well, that's a very rare thing. There used to be quite a few swans downriver, but, that's been quite some time. The elf here are not as concerned with what gets dumped into the river, as you know, and
Oh, for certain.
it has affected both the fish and the fowl of the river. So most swan feathers have to be brought in.
Is it easy to counterfeit one of them?
Well, I wouldn't think so, because of the length and the purity of whiteness. I suppose it's possible you could bleach out some lesser feather. The process itself might save one a few dren if done in bulk, but a feather of that size, you would. Well, there's of course the ravens. There's always the ravens.
Oh.
I hesitate to think how long it would take to bleach out the black.
And the risk it might take. Those
Well,
ravens aren't small or docile.
well, there's traders, of course, from the perch who would be happy to sell shed feathers, I'm sure, for a dime. I do, in fact, and he motions, do work in some raven feathers, as you see, and he points to one which clearly comes from a mega corvid that has this big black. Yeah, I mean, it's a big, very stylish, floppy feather on the top of a hat.
My, I might have to tell people to gangway for me if I wear that.
I will say the margins are quite good. It is easy to convince someone that such a thing is very high price, but those people on the perch, you'd be surprised how they are not as savvy in their dealings in things that, well, pretty much fall into their laps.
Easy come, easy go.
True. You just have to watch out, though. Make one mad, and, well, there's hell to pay. Not only is it difficult for you to receive your goods, they are pretty much our only way of getting things from the whales, but they have a habit of having their mounts deposit on your stalls if they are particularly displeased.
I'll do my best to not anger any of them. Dang. Do you have anything more subtle than this?
Of course, and he will show you various things.
I buy a particularly stylish hat with raven feathers on it.
Ooh, nice.
A good wide brim thing, but feminine without being preening.
And the wide bill has the added benefit, which may be why it's in style, of kind of obscuring the face in certain, as you're moving about. Since, even here in this big area, it's a mage lit area. I mean, there's very little sun that makes its way here to pilgrims. So the lighting is artificial, and a hat provides pleasant shadows. He says, "Oh, this looks marvelous on you, Fenara. I tell you, you have the perfect face for a hat.
Oh,
it frames you."
Why, thank you. I believe I must keep this one.
Well, as I said, a discount for friends, and he will begin writing out a bill of sale for you. Does this feel like maybe you're pushing your reputation up a little?
I think that's worthwhile.
Okay. I think that this is probably a solid thing of you can just go ahead and lose the one. We won't have to roll for it.
Yeah.
You only have one. And this isn't hitting you financially hard. We're wheeling and dealing enough that you have plenty of money for this.
Oh yeah.
And as you leave with your bill of sale and your lovely hat, he says, and of course, Fenara, I have heard you have some lovely fruits.
I do, in fact. If you have any parties or other soirees that you may be hosting, or a simple stocking up, we have a very lovely bunch of blood oranges. I can sell them to you for you 4 per crate.
Oh.
And I will include a delicious tartlet recipe from a local chef.
And delivery home?
Absolutely.
Sounds marvelous. I'll be by this afternoon.
Oh, excellent. And make a little notelet in my personal book. Move along my merry way.
Unless there's something more pointed you want to do, I think this might be when you see Gerald coming up.
I think this is an excellent chance.
Oh, was it? It's you, Rich. Yes, I'm sorry. Amaranth.
Okay. I was like, oh, yay. Maybe I'll show up after Gerald does. That'll be fun. But
I'm sorry.
I
Crossed my names.
That is quite all right. Aramitz, of course, is wearing like traveling clothes. He doesn't walk around in some ceremonial robes of his church, but I think similar to like a Catholic priest, there's something about, that where people looking face to face can tell, oh, he's wearing the mark. Maybe it's like a shoulder stripe or something like that indicates, oh yeah, this is a person of the cloth. And he's looking for you, Fenara. And so it's a moment of, oh, and he comes up. Good morning. Fanara, how are you?
Oh, good morning. I'm doing quite well, making my usual unappointed rounds here in the market.
Everything working well in the market?
Absolutely. Do you like my new hat?
Beat me to the punch. I was going to compliment it. I should have led with that.
I don't leave compliments to chance. I fish for them right away.
Well, you're quite a good fisher. It looks wonderful on you. You have a
Oh.
keen eye. It's quite the style that I've seen at the chapel of late from some of the ladies who are of a mind to keep up with such things.
Keeps that additional light out of my eyes. Helps me feel relaxed.
Of course, it's not just fashion for you. You're so pragmatic.
Of course. How have you been?
I'm well, but slightly troubled. But if you, I don't want to dispense with social activities. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, come. Let's take in a light lunch. I can have a few of my employees take care of a few deliveries. Let's stop by my stall and then order something in.
Thank you. Yes, would like that very much.
All right. A couple of tiffins full of something good, I'm sure. We can make this into quite a pleasant contact. Come on, let's relax. And so I think in a few transitional swoops of enthusiastic tradesmanship, we're in a private flap of my stall. I assume that it's kind of tentish, boothish kind of a thing. Yeah, there's definitely a no man's land within the stall where it's like, hold on, I'll go into the back. And it's a small table, a couple of small but not I'm trying to find a correct context word that means worthless. They're nice little chairs. They are good at their jobs and not hard to lose, but not nothing either. With a couple of little delivery tins of food that we're eating with forks and some tea of some sort. And there are a few crates of blood oranges just sort of hanging out in the stall.
Probably
Nice.
putting out the lovely smell.
Putting out a lovely smell.
Nice.
Well, seems like you wanted to talk about something.
I did. I wish that we could just eat in peace and enjoy each other's company, but I came upon a concern, and I thought I could trouble Gerald or Fanara with such a thing, or even Vizar, and well, I chose you. Bring this to your doorstep. There's a new drug here known as Drek, or I don't know, perhaps it isn't new, but the trouble of it seems to be new. Have you heard of this Drek?
Out of character, point this at GM. Have I heard of this Drek?
I think you're the sort of person who hears about most everything that is sold, even high or low.
Yeah,
so yeah, you would have.
One of my starting contacts is a Malak dealer, so.
Then yeah, you would definitely have heard about it. So I'll give you is things just right off the bat, and then if you want to dig a little, between the two of you, you can. It is highly addictive. It was not something that was particularly common, but has now been seen way more frequently, not only here, but even lower in Spire, where it probably is even worse of an epidemic. And it's being felt up higher as well. So this is like a flood. Somewhere along here, someone has been making a lot more. It is its effects, it is highly addictive, and it has a kind of harsh high, like a frenetic, joyful, like Coke times 100 sort of, oh, happy, happy, happy feel. But then its down is really horrific. And it, like most drugs, the more you take, the more you need. And what you've heard is it is probably a derivative of sulfur, which is another drug. It is a demonic drug said to only be made by a byproduct of demonology. So this is like a dirty version of that. That's your base stuff.
All right, so I'll explain what you've just told me and what I know. So I say, for this much to hit the market so fast requires either some kind of long-term plan for which I don't understand a particular motive. So let's slide that off the table. Or the sudden appearance of a very pure strain source.
Neither option sounds appealing at all.
No.
That is very troubling. I came here honestly because I have a name of a potential dealer, and I was trying to work out some way that we could convince the dealer to spread wide but thin. But it sounds like that isn't the plan of a drow by the name of Dark in the Eye. That is the dealer's name. It sounds like I may not have an option to allow them to continue their trade, but do so at less impact to the people.
No, and quite frankly, a seller goes where there are sales. And the places that are most available and open to them. Networks require building. And once you expand a network past its ability to grow, that leads to collapse. You'll find a dealer or a trader who would do that for you.
Yes, that's exactly why I've come to you. I, of course, try to think of this from a different angle. Our people are suffering from so many different angles. I know this to be true. But this one seems to be cutting very deep and very quick.
It is unfortunate because, of course, the motivation to purchase drugs comes from rather indelible places.
You know my opinion on such things, Fanara. A drug from time to time to take off the edge. So be it.
Now, in combination with a healthful lifestyle, there's not really that much wrong with it. I agree, but these demonological drugs such as Drek, they're just plainly unsafe.
Yes.
So our options are, I believe, to wait for the source to collapse, impart pressures on the network of distribution until that collapses, or to cut off the source.
Yeah.
This is a large and dangerous problem. Let me try to illustrate what I'm speaking about. And Finara will like literally get out a piece of paper and start mapping a distribution network by nodes of her general theoretical, like if I were a drug dealer and let's say that I had a source of Drek in this location, just as a base theory, and what would I do with it and how would I incentivize the distribution and who would distribute it. And for Finara, this is just a general exercise to be like, how many people right now are making a living off of selling this drug?
Okay. This sounds like you could probably get some deeper information off this process.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, I think this is a commerce domain.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like an investigate. But even looking at your skills, I don't know if compel, deceive, or fight are going to come into play.
No.
Now you have someone there that can
I would certainly
some
help. Yes, absolutely, without a doubt.
Okay. I don't think we're in danger of stress from this because I think that this is purely just an information. You're talking amongst yourselves.
Right.
So I don't think
sense.
we're risking stress, but it will have a fail or success sort of thing to deal with.
Right.
So looks like you're rolling with 3 dice.
All right. Bloop. All right. A 2, a 7, and a 10.
A 10.
Nice.
Bravo. As you're looking at this, and Amaritz is kind of giving you some info of, I saw it here. There was the guy up when we were at the Metaphor. You're, pulling in your knowledge of, how it's kind of spread. Your first thought is, this is clearly a supply glut. As in, someone has suddenly greatly increased sulfur. Consequently, that's been passed down. They've then cut it to make Drek, and they're flooding the market. Now, there's really only one good reason to do that, and that is you need money now. You're not worried about the long-term investment. You're pushing for money now.
Mm-hmm.
There are bad reasons. I've got an excess. I might as well sell the hell out of it while I've got an excess.
Right. Or I'm trying to push another group out of business entirely by destroying their market for sulfur.
Correct. But very well, you're completely in tune enough to know sulfur and this Drek were pretty uncommon. It is, demonology is highly illegal. No matter who you are, that's highly illegal.
Like you get thrown off of Spire.
Correct.
From a ceremonially appropriate height.
And even an Alfear would have who is found out to be doing it would be in huge trouble. An Alfear, money and power can always protect you to some extent, but this is highly illegal.
This is one of the thresholds where the protection of money and power can run out, actually.
So I think that's your first bit from that exceptional success. The other bit that I think I'm going to give on that is, as you're kind of going over this, I think that maybe it's Golaset who will bring up something that I've heard, ma'am. Have you heard of, they call it the Great Work? These people who take the Drek they have habits. And they'll wander together. People on the Drek will kind of form little groups and gangs as they're all hopped up on the stuff. And then they'll go and build things. There was a report of a great many of them down below who created some sort of strange labyrinth amongst the sewers. Another one, a group of them got together and over the course of an evening built some sort of statue out of wood and just general crap. But as they came down, they lit the whole thing on fire. It only seems to happen when they get together, but it's, from what I understand, it's almost as though as they come into contact with each other, this idea springs up, and then more will join, and more will join, and they'll just do it. Some of them don't even seem to remember or understand that they did it once they come down.
Very strange. Very unwelcome.
You're also pretty sure that looking at your thing, the guy that Amarit mentioned still is probably not your top end supplier. Probably the guy for maybe this level or for a good chunk of the area supplying out to people, but there would clearly be someone above him. Cause this amount that's spreading across Spire, there's a lot of money. And this guy is not that big of money.
Yeah. And I'll even quote a vague value for my estimate of how much Drek has been flooding just this level. And, you know, it's a ridiculous number. You're like,
Right.
They make that many zeros? Fuck.
Right. It's an Alfear's ransom of money that is being made off this.
I will be appropriately agog.
Well, it sounds like your idea of dispersal is appropriate as far as treatment is concerned.
Perhaps.
Again, though, looking at it, this isn't sustainable.
Yeah, they can't do this forever, so...
It will burn itself out, but what will be left in its wake?
Well, depending on how many of these works get finished, who knows? I assume that because it's demonological, it carries demonic risks.
Yes. And of course, if we go to Elfir with the demonology, our people will suffer even worse.
Well, they don't like demonology very much either. However, clearly someone with high Spire amounts of resources is creating this glut.
Sounds like a careless Elfir's idea. Perhaps this might be something we could bring to the rest of the team.
Perhaps. We may want to seek clearance with the ministry first. This is a large problem. This may make us quite unavailable to missions
True.
and service.
True.
I don't think that they would necessarily disapprove of us doing this, but
Yes.
it will
Maybe
be difficult to do
they
this.
know more than
something.
we about this than we can
They might.
surmise.
I hope they do. Well, I'm sorry
Talk
I
to the
couldn't bring you
team,
better
take it up
news.
the ladder.
Yeah.
I did not expect good news. I just hoped for more enlightenment and perhaps a way to help our people.
Well,
I
you're
think
a healer.
I think then on that note, we fade over to I want to check in with you, Alex. I'm going to do our Sword and Bazaar, but just to give me a heads up, what are you thinking of doing for your next thing? Are you going to find people, or are you staying doing other stuff?
I mean, I was thinking of basically just touching on the hang tree, but make like a moment in time of just I was there.
Of the
Not
web?
really see it at the hanging
Go
guard.
and just give a check out a bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
but not really a scene.
Okay.
I think I would prefer having like some time with another character. I don't know
Okay,
which
cool.
one.
Then we'll get you with someone, and we'll do an interstitial with you passing through the gardens. All right, let's get back then to the Kraken Bell. As Bazaar, you see Sorden waving you over, and the crowd parts, and someone will hand you a mug. As the bartender looks and says, are you've sat down and you've got your card, so the mug comes over, and the bartender kind of looks over and says, Gray Manor discount there, I saw it.
Yeah, I give a cheery grin. And I say to Soren, well, I had an interview with Maxwell Rausch today, and it went very well. And now I have this, and I think I have a job, a second one. I mean,
Raymer,
not quite as freelance as the
Mr.
writing.
Fancy Pants.
Don't you know it?
Well done.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll still write my stuff, but I like having a resource that I can pay off. And there's synergy. And I have this, and I wave with these papers. They seem to be cutting. What was that? What they were doing? Tyler, help me out here.
Talking about what he wants you to put in the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, they busted a dirty merchant who was overpricing and using shoddy material.
Yeah, using shoddy mushrooms. And I'm supposed to write about that, but of course I need to check this out beforehand, because I'm not writing stuff based on some other people's research.
Right. So, Fizz, what are you going to do about it?
I'm going there and have a look around, I guess.
Ooh, a look around.
Yeah, talk to people, and if there was some big fellow with me who could provide a distraction, I mean, that would be icing on the cake, I guess.
So, wait, let me show me. Where is this?
That's over there. And I tell him where it is.
And it is near the Blue Market, as most of the big merchants are, which is on your same level. It's it well. Fenara has a stall there. It's where all of you go to shop. This is a storefront that is right off of the market itself.
Oh, interesting. Then we can visit Fenara, maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe she's got something good. I've got I don't have money to spend yet, but I have some left from before, and
you will have some by having leftover from buying drinks with discount. So for after 10 drinks, you can buy 11. No, after 10 drinks, you can get an 11th free, basically.
Yeah, basically. That's I don't drink 10 drinks though here, Soren. I might throw around though.
Guys, did you hear that?
They all perked up and heard that, and indeed, there's a ding, ding, ding on the bell as a round on Bazaar.
I'm doing that. Yeah, I like these guys, and having people like that who aren't really hating me. That's a good investment here.
The fizz.
And there's a bit of a cheer. And, yeah, Bazaar, Bazaar, Bazaar. And you get a few claps on the back as the boys go and hit the bar. Some of the ladies, the night ladies, come over and thank you, and give you the slap on the shoulder as they pick up their drinks.
See, Viz, you get it. You know how to make friends.
It's a talent, I guess.
But if I understand correctly, you are looking for a friend to come with you to the place.
Maybe.
I could be your friend.
You are my friend, Sordin.
Yes.
But you can be my friend who comes with me.
Yes, that's exactly. I will be
Yeah.
your friend twice over.
Yeah. Wow, you're my double friend then.
Triple friends.
Triple. Wow. Amazing.
Thurza comes up and you're going somewhere? The two of you are going somewhere? Can I come?
Viz? I think she can come, right?
The more the merrier. I mean, I need a distraction, and
There's you will be a double friend.
Yes, sir. That's twice as much.
Yeah, you're also good at math. I feel that that is a useful skill that I can use in the commerce district. So, and I grin if there's a wink at her. She doesn't seem to be that drunk, right? Okay. And
you get the impression she's making sure to go so that Sword doesn't fall over, maybe, or.
Yeah, that's I like I like having someone around, and maybe I underestimated how drunk Sordin was, but you know, what can go wrong here? A lot, but you know, I need the story. And I want this story.
All right. Well, then
but make sure you keep your words to your pages. No more of those words being like
I did not create that, Sordin.
I'm not saying you did, but I've had enough of those.
I think I could, though.
Maybe next week we can have some more words problems, but
don't worry, Sordin.
With that, you stand up and begin making your way. You can continue talking. I'm just going to get moving. And I think Sordin, despite Thyrsa's concerns, you're more than capable of handling your liquor that you have here, and are, you know, there's no. I
didn't have any liquor yet. I just had some beer.
Right.
Yeah.
And so y'all begin heading out. Please feel free to continue talking.
I continue talking about Maxwell and this amazing thing about the red teeth guy, and I will tell you a story about the red teeth guy if you listen.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make it as sensational as I can. I won't start now because Bizarre is talking, right? He will talk your ear off if you don't stop him. But in a pleasant way. He actually knows how to tell stories.
Quickly, like it's like, oh, really?
And you've got good source material because, of course, it's a serial killer who killed a couple of dozen people before finally being tracked down.
Yeah. And I'll time it so that before the showdown, the arrest, we'll arrive where we're going.
Ooh, leave them wanting more.
Yeah, I need a cliffhanger here.
And you've arrived at the storefront, and you can see that it says closed for business, You can also see where the windows have had to be boarded, and through the cracks of the boards, you could see like the window was shattered by rocks. Probably angry people who found out that they had been cheated.
Oh, wow.
And there's some graffiti that's been written on it, like cheat and dirty bastard and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Okay. That there might be more to this story. I want to use my move now.
Okay.
I mean, nose for trouble. If you can find what's out of place, you can find the story. What's weird here? What doesn't fit the picture?
I think as you're kind of looking around, did you go up and you peek through the slats there? And you can see that the shop is indeed dark, and it looks as though that like stuff has been rifled through, and you have someone come walking up. What an asshole! Can't believe that he would cheat his neighbors.
That sounds awful. What happened here?
Didn't you hear? The Grey Manor people, they found out. Been using dirty shrooms.
Dirty shrooms? That is a crime, my good dear man. I understand why this is closed. Wow.
Well, he's going to be serving quite a bit of time.
Good for him, I guess.
Well, yeah. And it's absolutely reprehensible. People that can't be trusted to do good business. Not only that, but people got sick off of his bad wares.
Okay, I get it now.
Wow, where did he get the dirty shrooms from, though?
Well, yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm relieved that this crisis has been averted, my good man. Thank you for apprising me of this situation.
Absolutely. Hopefully the next person that moves in will know not to cheat. And he kind of spits on the door as he starts walking off.
Okay. And the stuff I got from Grey Manor, that pans out, right?
When you look through it, yes, it pans out. Now, probably you with a discerning eye can sense there was probably someone higher up that was selling shoddy stuff to him. He was fully knowledgeable of what he was getting and was lying about what he was selling. But more than likely, the person up above was making more money, had enough power to keep themselves out from it. And this, it's got that kind of stink of if you've got enough money, you could avoid. And the Grey Manor is not willing to break the law to discover beyond that. So they reached the conclusion, they solved the problem. But, didn't really end the person who did it.
This is not the full story. I'll tell Sordin. I mean, I can write this down, but this is not the full story. Let's go and talk to Fanara.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted to maybe go inside.
Doubt that the person who kept them in the dirty stuff. But you know what? It's a good idea. So can you maybe look out so that nobody sees that I'm doing that?
Well, Tirza, what is the first thing we do when we want to go inside somewhere?
We cause a distraction.
Well, first we knock.
Oh.
We don't knock here in this case because there's nobody in there.
That's the thing. You okay, Tirza, what's step 2?
Cause a
distraction. And she's kind of wide-eyed. Are we to the kicking the door open part yet?
Well, yes, but with the distraction.
You were ahead of me. There's a distraction.
You two do the distraction, and I go in without knocking anything down because they have to have a servant's entrance. Maybe I'll knock down that, but I need someone to distract these people.
I'll take care of the distraction.
Thank you, my friend. My put my hand on your shoulder and smile and then go in.
And then Sordin will fire a move, and basically he will yell at some person that's sort of walking in the distance and go like, "Hey,
Yep.
you!" And I will pick a fight.
Do you want to win? Are you trying to make a good impression? Or you're
I want to
causing a
cause a
distraction?
distraction.
All right. And so you yell over at one of the stevedores who's probably carrying someone who's big enough that they won't just run away. And he's like, "What?" And you get
Just go like, "What do you think you're doing here? You're out of order."
And so are you brawling with them, or is this just more of a chest bumping and yelling?
I think it will definitely, like, Sordin is definitely going with like just pushing and chest bumping, and if that guy escalates, then that's fine by Sordin.
I think it's fair to say y'all can chest bump and posture for quite some while people watch, and he will eventually get mad enough to throw a punch and you can deck him. That seems fair. All right, and so distraction going on. You, Vazar, can you say kind of finding a servant entrance or a delivery entrance?
Yep.
You kind of go down the side, and indeed there is a door there for deliveries. Do you wish to? You check it; it is locked.
I am no burglar, clearly. But I think maybe there is another way I can get into this place, because I'm no burglar, as I said, and that would be illegal anyway, and I shouldn't do that. So I'll go look around. Maybe I find a key.
Okay. I think that probably not finding a key, but you do find a window that is partially open.
Oh no, these people, anybody could break in. I need to go in and make sure that everything's properly closed down, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
that's only sense.
And as you slide your way in, you get inside. There is the smell of where it was a bakery. So it doesn't smell horribly unpleasant in here. It has been closed for not an enormous amount of time. You could see from your report that they finished this case up about, a week ago. And probably, in all honesty, you're not breaking the law, because Gray Manor was given jurisdiction to investigate here, and you're a Gray Manor.
Yeah, I'm not used to that. So I'm making up. Also, you have lying is a skill like any other, and you have to practice to keep up a level of excellence. So yeah.
I think maybe if you're wanting to give it a look around in here, is that what you're wanting to do?
Yep, totally.
Okay. Sounds to me like maybe an investigate.
I have now a knack to investigate a conspiracy.
Ooh.
And that's what I'm looking for, actually.
I think this will apply. And this is probably either commerce or low society.
I'll use low society here.
All right. So it looks like you're rolling 4 dice.
That seems nice.
There is, I think, stress that you could encounter of shadow.
Yeah, I figured. That makes sense, yeah. Okay. Oh, come on. Dice, be nice to me. Oh, wow, I've got 2 10s.
Woohoo! And I think that you have done something reckless for the sake of a good story here.
I have. I will recover the last stress that I still have. It's mind stress, but doing this blows the cobwebs right out of my head. The occult cobwebs, because words.
Gets the old synapse firing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do a huge description of going through a bakery.
Thank you.
But I think in your investigations back in the office, you find the ledger book, and it shows all the things you would expect. You think, oh, well, the ledger book has clearly been gone over. There's a notes where whoever Gray Banner had sent before has done and checked things. But as you're checking out this ledger, you notice something a little odd about the desk. The drawers, which are open, one of them seems like it's more shallow than it should be.
Interesting.
And that's when you reach down and click, click. It slides back the bottom of this drawer to reveal another ledger.
Oh, interesting.
And inside of it, you see unnoted, probably not found by one of your fellow investigators, which may be, they don't do a very good job. But you can see where listed in here is the procurement of the shoddy mushrooms in question. And you see also that they were buying flour that was, what was called sweeps. And you can figure it's, sweep from the floor, flour. I mean, this person was clearly not doing a very conscientious job. But a name that is written in for all of these things. And you have to think that this is not their real name. This definitely feels of a code because it's catfish, delivered from catfish. But in the lengths of the thing, you do see noted once or twice the name of an algae farm up there in the Garden District area. And that algae farm is called, let's give it a good name, I suppose. We'll call it Consolidated Food Works Incorporated.
Oh, no. That's a very unspecific name. Consolidated Food, what?
Foodstuffs Incorporated.
Consolidated
Food Works Inc.
Works. Yeah, that makes more sense. Incorporated. Okay. Interesting. I will stop now because Vizar has no idea about commerce. I will stop now with the bureaucratic stuff. That means that if something is in an incorporated society, they have to do some stuff and I have to put down some stuff. No, what I do is I take this and I go to my friend Fonara and ask her about stuff because she knows about the commerce stuff that I don't.
And so you make your way back out. I believe you were closing the window to make sure nobody else gets in, and you close the door behind you locked. And as you come back to the street, you see Sorden standing over a guy holding his jaw. And Sorden, what are you saying to this guy?
Let's make it very clear. You're not supposed to be around here. We're close to the harbor.
All right, fine, you big lug.
Carry on.
He scoots away and stands up and lumbers off, cursing under his breath. Fucking cracking bell douchebags. And the crowd kind of points and laughs, and a few of them are clapping over there, and you even hear a few, cracking bell, cracking bell.
Ding, ding, ding.
As Bizarre, you come walking up, and Thurza says, he won.
I'm not shocked. He's good.
It was a darn good fight.
Oh, wow. Sorry to have missed it. Can you give me the highlights and I'll write a song about it?
Yes, they slammed at each other with their testosterone for quite some time. And then that gentleman took a liking to throwing a punch towards Sorden, which Sorden, well, rather dexterously, or perhaps, he staggered backwards and the gentleman missed. And then he punched him in the stomach and right in the jaw.
Yeah, thank you. That is, I especially like the part about the testosterone.
And she comes up and she pats you on the back, sort of. That was very informative.
Yeah, hope you've learned something from this.
I did. Men are generally stupid.
What's her name? You have no idea.
And she'll hand you her ale skin to give you a drink, sort of.
Thank you. So, did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah, I found something, and I need to talk to Funara, I think now. Let's see. Let's see what she's got.
And so the two of you begin heading that way, and we'll star wipe off to you, Gerald. And I think that we catch you mid moving through the Garden District. Does that sound?
Yeah. Is there like, are they just left, the hanging trees, are they just left unguarded, untended?
Well, there are people like working, and this is in the whole Garden District. This is a place full of people. If I had to kind of guess, there's easily 40 to 50% of people who are doing their durance do their durance as farm workers. And then, of course, there are plenty of people that's just their job. The algae works. There are various companies and groups that have algae farms going on. You have over at the fish bones where there are people that using the fish bones to grow things. That's kind of a massive fertilizer pile. So you see people who are hauling that off to fields. And the hanging gardens themselves is a pretty large orchard. And as you walk up to it, you could see wagons coming out of it. And it's not just these like corpse apples or the fungus that's grown there. They also do, there's other trees with other fruits and things and bushes. This would be where you get your berries and your tree fruits and all that sort of thing up there as well. But it's easy to blend in.
Yeah, I mean, choosing my low advance, I put on my citizen's mask to kind of merge in with the farm workers, I think, because I mean it feels fitting on the job for the masked god too.
And perhaps seeing these folks, it's hard work, but at the same time, there's a little more, it might strike you a little more dignity than the house servants that you're used to, because they're always on such eggshells. Now, you don't know how it is once, how well they're paid or all that, but these people do seem to take pride in the fact that they feed the Spire, and there is an element of being out and doing this sort of work that they seem to be, have a feeling of reward from doing it. But along with that, there's also a lot of it is drudge work. You see people hauling heavy things. Now the hanging garden itself is pretty grim, as you would imagine. There are hundreds of bodies in various stages of how long they've been there. And you could see many of them completely covered in fungus so that you can really not even see the body. And then others you see are fairly fresh and just beginning to either get fungus.
Reminder of the name of the who had the key, I was told.
The Black Hand.
I think I'd be like, as I'm moving through, I would be observing the people, like listening to their speech and how they're moving and what they're doing and trying. So I think I would be purposefully changing my gait and stuff to kind of not be so obviously willowy and, I mean, I think probably the workers would, if they bothered to kind of think of this, they would, but probably good enough to, if there's any Elfia, around, to mask myself from there.
I think you're having no problems with that.
I think I'd go amiably to somebody like, so how's our chargers today? And glance up at the trees.
Well, they've already done most of the harvesting. Do that at night for the ones that are being plucked. And the rest, well, nobody's overly delighted to go in there. So pretty empty right now.
Black Hand's tree, are they? I just leave the sentence open to kind of fish for any.
Let me see here.
I'm trying to just let him fill in the sentence, whatever information he might have.
I don't know if this particularly is a roll off of you as much as him knowing it. And it's far more interesting, I believe, if he does. So I think this guy was infamous enough that he goes, that dirt bag. Even the fungus doesn't want to grow on him. Still. Heck, he's probably going to fall off the tree before anything worth having comes off of him. He kind of points back down a row, and you could see where he's pointing way off in the distance. There is, like all the bodies, they are stripped down to kind of nothing but a loincloth. And you see a body in several weeks of decay. And he's right. There's not even any of the fungus that has grown on him. And underneath him, where things have dripped, is a whole patch of like dead grass. So unlike where it seems to be underneath these others, the trees seem strong and the grass seems high. Here, just his presence seems to be corrupting it.
Are there any supervisors around, or is it just purely workers?
You could see like some folks directing the wagons and stuff like that, but none right here at you. You could go over and talk to someone, or you could easily slip along into the trees and probably not be noticed.
I think I'm going to just like climb up, put that body down.
To him?
In front of it. I'm not making any attempt at making it look like I'm hiding it. I'm like, I feel like if I look like I'm working there.
Okay.
I'm working there.
I think this one is worth a roll.
Yeah.
Let's have you roll. I think this is deceive or sneak. Well, you said you're not sneaking. You're trying to make it look like you're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this is deceive. And I think that it's probably like commerce or low society.
Yeah. Go check I think the mask, citizen's mask. I roll with mastery when attempting to pass myself off as someone unimportant or beneath attention.
Excellent. All righty.
So that will work out at how many D10s?
I think that's 3 then, because you get your 1 to start with, 1 for the skill, and then I believe mastery's 1 more, right?
Yep. A 9, a 10, and a 3.
Oh, fantastic. You have no one seems to be paying very much attention as you get to the tree and kind of move your way up into a branch. He's not particularly high, so it's not difficult for you to get there. Are you wanting to cut him down, or are you?
I feel it's just easier if I just cut him down.
Okay, it's no problem. Cut the rope and flop. he kind of lands with a sicky squish. Again, he's wearing this loincloth, but as he lands, you can see the loincloth sort of rise up, and around his waist, there is this belt. There are, it is attached to it are like links where probably he was chained when he was a prisoner to connect to it. But as he fell and it hit the ground, there is a kind of ting ting hitting that dead earth below him, as from underneath, like he had pressed it between the belt and his skin, you see a key fall.
I climb back down the tree. I'm not in a hurry. I stand looking over the body for a moment, like just like appraising it, crouch down, pocketing the key without looking at it, and then it's like, well, I'm not carrying out with my bare hands. I don't care what the boss says. I'm gonna get a cart. Make sure no one touches that while I'm gone.
The guy kind of at the end of the road says, "Don't worry, buddy." But as you picked up that key, suddenly, and were putting it into your pocket, you see like a shadow kind of descend over this body for just a moment. And even though the face is ruined, for a moment, you can kind of see a smile on it. And in the empty sockets, you see that kind of glow of the figure that stood behind you, that purple light when you were looking in the mirror. And
cheeks gray slightly at that.
And then the shadow passes. But there is I don't know if it's a feeling of goodwill, but it is a feeling as though someone is pleased with you and has seen what you did.
I think I would next be seen like kind of fingering the key in my hand, like just looking. I think it's Streetkin? No, Gutterkin. I think
Gutterkin.
Kind of, yeah, I'm kind of aiming for like with Gutterkin. I like just grabbed some rags and things, and I'm just like heading, between districts. Being Gutterkin, I feel, is a good method of travel.
Heading
I
down.
can just disappear from notice and then appear somewhere else as, a fine, upstanding citizen.
And I think then we see Gerald as you head down the back ways, wrapped in kind of shoddy clothes. Just asking, because we're coming to our end. Where are you going? Are you finding your fellows, or are you?
I think I'd be finding my fellows. I think, yeah.
So I think we see like you in these ragged clothes, and as you get down to Pilgrim's Walk, we kind of almost, it's one of those, you pass behind something so the camera, loses track of you for a second.
Yeah.
And then as you step out the other side, we see
Upright, straight, yeah.
And
Fine
heading
clothes
towards the blue market.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're going to close. We'll bring everybody together at the beginning of next time. I think that works out pretty well for us. We're at 25 after the hour. Do we feel like we've got a moment or two for a round of stars and wishes? I don't want to hang people too long.
I hope fine.
Everybody good? All right then. Well, so we've got our little slice of life thing here. I think we'll continue doing this sort of, we've all got little missions we want to do. We have some things we might want to go to the ministry with. I will say I've dropped some breadcrumbs to start the big arch in with this as well. But I really enjoyed seeing everybody in their element. I thought that was fun. So why don't we get a little stars and wishes going around? We'll start with stars. And I think that last time I put poor Jan at the end, so he had no stars to give. So I'll start with you and we'll go down the order from you.
Let's see. I was very impressed with your British accent. I liked it. You guided everyone to the same point. I think I had a lot of fun with playing with Vizar. And I really I liked seeing everyone a bit, just being themselves a bit. It was cool.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Let's see. I suppose I should put up. Next up, Alex, tell us some stars.
I mean, one of the first things was I very, very early on was like NPC work was on was on point. Like I think it was your first NPC. I can't remember which one it was because there was others that distracted me. But yeah, I noticed that very early on. Yeah, I really liked the the spread of seeing people, the hijinks of what people are up to. I did like that Vizar and Zordin combination, along with pizza. Pepper.
There's a
Yeah. No, I said it completely wrong, even after you said it. But yeah, I really like that combination, and I also I dug a little, and also Aramit's. You're almost making me cry with Aramit's.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Rich, stars.
I'll say yes. I agree that the voice work was great. Especially the servants, like the Gerald scene with the servants, was so good. And I love, Tyler, your mix of tones, like the almost like pretend high society. It was very BBC. There's a lot of BBC going on this session, and that's fun. I really enjoyed that. But like the mix of tones from the bar to Gerald's scenes with the servants to Fanara and the market were all just delightful. You were working your ass off. It was great. I'm happy that Jan got to interact with Zordon Squire. Seeing more of her is interesting and amusing as well. She is weird. I'm pretty sure she's pretty weird, and I like that. Sabine, I liked that Vizar is now like the whole interview, and now you're part of the Gray Manor investigations, and then wait, people are going to listen to me. That reaction bit was pretty cool. I like seeing that develop and evolve, how Vizar will approach the world, and I was especially appreciative of a scene with Fanara. Jin, this character is delightful. You are so clever with that particular character. You're always clever. Don't misunderstand me, but there's a certain degree of cleverness that Fanara brings out of you that I think is wonderful. So very fun.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Jen, stars.
I liked seeing more of people's lives and the city, and a few this and that's atmospherically. We all I think most of our characters got to go to multiple places and have a city texture waiting for them there. Vizar going through the printing presses area to this interview scene to this crime scene was an interesting progression. Getting the description of what the Hanging Gardens are actually all about is, nightmare fuel. So good on it. It was cool seeing more of the characters in their elements. It was very, very deepening of who they are, which I think is going to be fertile soil for future games. Feeling good.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much. Sabine, stars?
Yeah, all the stars in the world for everyone. I really liked seeing the characters in their element, as been said before. I like to see that the city was so vibrant, and that we got a bit more fleshed out neighborhoods. That I like that, so that we can go back there and have things have happened there. I absolutely loved Sordin and the Kraken Bell and Sordin's apprentice, and this whole scene where he was distracting the crowd and trying to figure out how to get into this building and do a distraction. I like that. And I loved Fonara and Aramitz, and Aramitz is always so sincere in his kindness. That is truly a gift. So wow. And Fonara is well, yeah, she's a traitor. That is, I think that this has been pretty clear. She's always looking for an advantage, not just for her. I don't think she's playing a zero-sum game. She's looking more for the win-win situations, what I get from her. And Gerald in the Hanging Gardens and stuff like that. That was looking for this masked guys, following these masked guys' instructions. That was also very, very interesting, and I wonder where we'll go to. And another star, Tyler, for all these plot lines. Suddenly we have 17 things to do, and now we need to figure out what we really want to do and what the ministry wants us to do, and if we want to do what the ministry wants us to do. So yeah, stars for that, because it will make for an interesting next session when everybody comes together and says, I have this thing.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'll say I'm really pleased that I wanted those first couple of sessions to be a mission and kind of actiony and kind of the doing of things. To, if it were a TV show, we see the group and what a mission is, and then have this be that explosion of the world. And I wanted it to feel like there's a lot in this place. It's a busy place, without doing NPC glut, because I would rather have us doing NPCs that are flavor rather than putting up a whole shit ton of NPCs that seem like we're important and have to be dealt with all the time. And you do that, you just start losing them. I wanted more flavor NPCs. So I felt like that worked out well. And I loved how everybody interacted with them. I think if it was a television show, it was so nice to see each person doing their thing without anyone else around. I thought Aramitz amongst his congregation, amongst the people, was gorgeous. It was so sweet. I loved the woman interaction that we led off with. I thought that set such a tone. It tells so much about what your character is, and then led to going and seeing the poor guy there in the throes of his DTs. And just Aramitz is, I just love him to death. He's so sweet and just so devoted. I think that's lovely. I thought that it was really cool to see Vizar. I wanted to give you a chance that you weren't here last time to have some meaty stuff to do. I love the interview. I like Maxwell. He is a guy we will see more and more. And I wanted him to have that kind of bombast, and I loved how you dealt with him. I thought that was perfect. The way you flattered into him and got him pretty well wrapped around your finger was brilliantly well done. Seeing Sordid in his element, coming down, drinking his breakfast, getting rid of his page, dealing with the order and how they interacted. I liked seeing that. That was really cool to see. Gerald, very business, going to check on making sure that the mission, that the past had been handled. I liked how you interacted with that. I liked seeing you as someone who is a focused person, someone who's conscientious of what it is to be doing your job, your thing of the cell. And then I liked the coming through the Garden District, seeing you drop in and out of these personas, dealing how you would deal with different people, watching you go through the different incarnations of Gerald's handling of different folks was really well done. And then Fanara, I thought that was fantastic to see you going through the market. Oh my goodness, I loved how you interacted with. I mean, it felt so rich and full of, you know, trading here, dealing here, talking this, very confident. Oh, interesting rumor going on. Let's hear what's that. Oh, and dealing with our Hyacinth character. And I loved that. And then it leads into such a great scene with you and Amaranth together. I thought that was just spectacular. Y'all play off of each other very well all the time, but this was just really cool, and it opened up. You moved into discovering things in a very clever way. I thought it was just all done very, very nicely. And I like Zordon and Vizar together, a very different feel from the more cerebral, thinking out things we saw with Fanara and Amaritz. And instead we see a much more actiony, I'm gonna get in a fight and I'm gonna break into a building. And you know, it was, I liked that juxtaposition. And then kind of with Gerald's much more subtle, sneaky, manipulative user type move through, just really highlighted what everybody could do. I was very, very pleased. And I'm glad we're going to all be together to start the next one. So let's do some wishes. We'll come back the other way. Sabine, wishes?
I totally wish to have a prolonged scene, or maybe not just a, hey, how are you? Oh, fine, bye. A scene with Gerald, because, or maybe with other people around, so I can moon over Gerald, like, aren't you talking to me? And that was that was what Thirza said, that he never pays any attention. So yeah, no, sorry. That would be a wish, to have a scene to make something come of that mooncalf love or whatever that is. And also I want to see where all these different threads go, and what if there is a commonality here, or I'm very interested in seeing everybody. I mean, maybe switch scene partners or something and go after whatever seems interesting.
Cool. Thank you. I believe next up is you, Alex.
Yep. Oh, before I do wishes, one last thing I wanted to mention from the blood oranges. Was the price always the same? Was it always 4 when you offered it, like at your different variants?
Every time.
Yes.
Just for you, 4.
Yeah. I like that little detail. That when I saw it, when I felt it was repeating, I found it very satisfying each time. Using the chat. I mean, I really loved all the kind of flavor building of the world this session. But yeah, I really do want to have some, you know, matching scene partners and that's my only wish for.
All righty, cool. Again, I'm glad we're all together to start, because that sets us in a different direction. Next up, I believe, Rich.
Wishes. This is a tough one because there's so much that went right.
No.
And the other folks switches scene partners, of course. That's good. I definitely want some scenes with some others. There's a part of me that wishes that, like, this mission, the deal with Drek, that like the ministry doesn't authorize us doing this, like there's a part of me that wants them to stonewall us to see what do we do if we're not working in the ministry in a mission. Like, are we going to do it? Do we break apart? Like, what I'm curious about that. So there's a part of me that wishes to see that the ministry is not on board with this thing that Fenara and Aramitz are going to bring to their doorstep.
Okay, that's interesting. I will keep that in mind.
But I'm good if they are too. Is just a part of me like, oh, that would be mostly because I want to see how the different characters react to that and how hard the ministry pushes back, because they've got their own stuff.
I think I have an idea for that, so I will have that in mind going forward. I also
sorry if everybody's upset about that. Sorry.
I think we can work that. I think that'll be fine. And I realized I completely screwed up the order when I started coming back. So thank you for your wish. We will.
I do get confused.
Yeah, we will go to Fenara, who should have been right after.
I literally write it down when I do it, so I don't screw it up because it's hard.
Right after Sabine. Go ahead, Jen.
All right. Wishes. I mean, basically, I think I'm covered when it comes to mix character and scene composition. See more of what's happening. Otherwise, yeah, nothing really standing out to me.
Awesome.
Definitely. It's interesting to see just how focused mechanically my character is. And to be like, oh, I don't have investigate. Well, we're going to go. We're doing this. Which is not really... It's not an action item. There's nothing to fix here. I'm just sort of settling into what mechanically my choices mean.
Mm-hmm.
In how they play out. Interesting stuff. So
awesome. Thank you very much. And we'll end with you, Jan.
So I'm going to do the same thing that Alex did, where I'm like, wait, but there was more. There was more roses that I wanted to give. So one of the roses that I still wanted to give was that I thought that this session really also gave a lot of room for showing off the refresh moves and the core abilities. Like everyone, I think most people that refreshed, and most people did at least a core ability, which is like, oh, hey, cool. That's and there was another thing where the scene with Aramitz and the junkie, which I thought was from like came across really strong for me, because it sort of felt like a, hey, this is probably how Sword and Aramitz sort of interacted back then, and doing that without like doing a flashback. So like, hey, oh, cool. My wishes, I would wish for I would wish to see our dear Tirza in action a bit next session. Like, I want to see her kick some ass.
Cool.
I want to be able to compliment her on something.
Awesome. I will keep that in mind, and we'll I think we should definitely have that happen. My wishes, I want to say that while it feels like there are a lot of various threads, there are a lot of things that are tied together. And so I want to lay out stuff in a way that doesn't quite... I felt really happy that I didn't make it obvious any connections to stuff yet, and I want to have that be a discovery process. So my wish is for me not to overplay hand, and I think that all of you are so capable of discovering stuff that I just need to make sure I sit back and let y'all go. And I do want to see people mixing it up a little on who they're dealing with. I did feel ashamed that Gerald got stuck very much alone this whole one. But the scenes that we had, I didn't want to cut short I did want to get us all together, and I thought the things that Gerald did on his own were really cool. But I definitely want to see us together and have everybody a chance to interact. I think that's very important. So with that all said, we don't get an advance this time. We didn't make a massive change, but I think that's all right. And next time around, we again begin all together with lots of stories to tell each other and maybe some planning to do and super cool stuff. So thank you all for playing, and Rich, I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, the dog knows the game's over. Tyler's dog has this innate sense for when Tyler is closing off. It's amazing. Thanks everybody for watching. We will continue Spire next week. And thanks to all of you for playing. Thanks, Tyler.